we have general updates. So you want to walk through those, Tim?
Yeah, I do. Second. I just got home like 15 minutes ago. Day doesn't stop. Yeah, so Heritage Day was our most recent, excuse me, and it was great. We had a great time. Great turnout, huge turnout. The parade was massive, and that spilled out onto the field right after. So from about 10 to 1, it was really the entire field was packed. We had a lot of vendors sell out of merchandise and things of that nature. So it seemed successful on the vendor side as it did on our side. Probably died down around 2 o'clock, and by 3:30, we were gone, and my camera just went out. But it was really, really good. It was received well. We got some really good feedback. So we were really happy with how everything turned out. So took a bunch of notes for future. So we'll be, kind of keeping those in the back pocket once we start planning for next year. But overall, Heritage Day went great in that regard. This weekend is I guess you could say, our final community event of the year with our trunk or treat in partnership with public safety. We have 13 cars this year, so we have much more than we did last year, which should be really good. We got a new food truck that'll be on site. We got our friends who do all the inflatables will be on site. So it's shaping up to be quite the day. So it's going to be really good. Really excited about that. The weather looks perfect. Not to jinx it, but we'll get that going, and that'll be that. We're in the midst of. We just finished up for RAP. We just finished up the first session of RAP. Went pretty well. Our numbers were pretty strong. I'm looking here. Yeah, we had 16 of the programs run this session. So it was good. So strong base, a good kickoff to the school year. The second session has been released and registration's open, and the numbers are looking strong. So we're going to truck along with that. But that we have a little time before that starts. Looks like November 1st, that Tuesday is when we'll start RAP session 2, and that'll bring us to the holiday. Just because of Thanksgiving and some half days and some days off for professional development, we're not going to finish until December 15th on this session. So we will see it through the holiday, take a little break, and then we'll be good for this calendar year. And before we know it, we'll have snow on the ground, and we'll be off for ski and snowboard lessons. Trotter opened for that last week. We have 2 more spaces as of tonight on the bus, so that filled up pretty quickly. So we're excited on that one for Trotter ski and snowboarding. Neary, we're still working on. We're having a difficult time still securing transportation, securing the bus for Neary. So if we can do that, then we'll have the program. That's obviously the biggest factor is transportation for the kids. Neshoba, this would be to Neshoba. Trotter goes to Wachusett. But Neshoba's prices did go up drastically as well. So it's going to be kind of a hard pill to swallow if we're able to get it going. But hopefully we will. We've had a lot of phone calls of parents who are interested. So we'll see what we can find and hopefully put something good together. But that'll be that. And then, that would kind of close out fall and winter. Right now, our pre-K programs are on the weekends, basketball starting up. Speaking of basketball, we've actually officially started partnering with Southborough Youth Basketball for a new kindergarten program. Kindergarten is something they've been wanting to break into, but it's something that we've been holding close to our chest just because that's kind of our clientele when it comes to basketball. So they agreed to kind of help us in a way. So instead of contracting out the vendor and it costing us a good amount, we're going to be partnering with Southborough Youth Basketball to help. They're going to help us with their coaches, with the program, to kind of cut the costs and expose the kids a little more to both basketball, but also the world of Southborough Youth Basketball once they age out of the kindergarten range. So last time I checked in with them, they had about 30 kids already registered. So already exceeding what we usually pull. So I think that's going to be a start of a good partnership on that one. But program wise, that's it. Joe's doing his thing. Cross country is also finishing up next week. We had a meet today Our last meet will be on Monday of next week, and then we will be done. I'm proud to say that Trotter is currently undefeated this season. We've gotten first place in every single meet. So that's super exciting. So good on them, good on him and Delaney and Sandra, our coaches. They're having a really good time. So hopefully today's result was the same, and we'll finish the season strong. But program-wise, that is all we got. Any questions on that?
So the Gobble Wobble is really the Friends, right?
Oh, right. Of course. Our biggest
Gotcha.
event. Yeah. Yeah, no, Gobble is underway. Registration is open. I checked today. We got about 100 plus who are registered right now. So solid number. We all know that it usually comes later on. Kind of the push at the end is where we get our biggest numbers, but we're off and running. The friends are hauling and keeping us in the loop as we go along. So sponsorships are done. Shirts actually came in today and are going off the print. So the wheels are churning on that one. So, but yeah, so that'll be Thanksgiving Day. So we'll see what happens.
Nice. You also had on their department budget.
Yes, I'm trying to figure out why my camera's not working. How about now? There we go. Okay. Department budget, just an FYI that we got the email from Treasury and Accounting that we're going to put our budgets together. As years past, there's really nothing on ours outside of salaries. As usual, we did pass through getting the playground inspections as well as the trails budget, so that will stay on. I don't expect those prices to fluctuate or that amount to fluctuate. Yet to check in with Kat over at Trails, but I don't foresee anything drastic changing on their end either. But just an FYI that's coming through, and once I think it's due at the end of November. So once I'm able to calculate that out, once we get a little more guidance on increases, percentages, I'll just bring it here for approval. But that was just more of an FYI that the process is already starting.
Cool.
Right, any questions on that? Nope.
No.
Oh, silence means no. Next thing on the agenda, because I found my agenda, is just the RFP update. RFP for camp is open. We're answering calls and emails for anyone who is interested. We have a question meeting for submitted questions tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and then we will open and then to see who puts their hat in the ring, and we'll go from there. And then, I guess, yeah, first thing tonight. So next thing on the agenda is capital. I'll skip over the first one. So 10/24, Jason Malinowski reached out on the 24th, which I believe is next Monday. They have rec on their agenda. If we could go and speak to the updated capital plan that we submitted, that we've been working on. I think they're more interested specifically Dog Park and Lugblad and maybe Woodward, just because we have some hard numbers, hard costs on those ones. So they have us slated on 10/24. I think it's at 8:30 is our time block that they are hoping that we could be present to discuss with them.
Is that virtual?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
8:30 a.m. or p.m.
PM.
Okay, I'm meeting with Kathy Friday morning on the dog park. We're still working out of time.
Okay. Kathy Cook.
Right. Remember we were going to ask about ARPA?
Gotcha. That was my follow-up. So
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, it took me a second to remember why, but yes.
Cool. Okay. Good.
Okay.
I'll forward you the info once we have it finalized.
Yeah, great. And then, so the van, so I sent you all an email that we were able to track down, kind of get that process going with the Colonial Ford Municipal Group. So it's a Ford dealer in the area that deals with municipalities. The story is they had one on their website for sale. I called, he was like, no, we don't have that. Everybody's calling, we need to take it down. I said, oh, great. But he said, but the following day, whenever it was, is the cutoff for orders for new ones. So Thanks to Carla and Heidi and accounting, we were able to push through a PO and get what we needed to get that reserved. So as of right now, we do have a van reserved for purchase. POs all set, submitted, money set aside, so on and so forth. Timeline 3 to 5 months for delivery on that one. And it is the same exact van that we have, just updated with updated specs, but 15 passenger white.
That's awesome.
I think Tim keeps freezing.
I was waiting for the butt.
I mean, I know also if you, I don't know if you saw in the stuff you attached tonight too, it was also like the invoice. So it also came in at just under 50 grand, which was also a lot cheaper than some of the quotes we were seeing like 9-10 months ago, for a used van. So,
That is pretty good.
yeah, I was excited that better pricing and brand new. So. All right, we'll give him a minute, see if we can get back in.
If you can, you should probably just forgo video, save the bandwidth.
Hmm. I went to go find my phone. So yeah, Tim says his internet just went down. So maybe we'll give him a couple minutes, see if it comes back up. And if not, well, we might just call it.
We have don't we have a, we don't have a dial-in?
Oh, you know what?
Oh,
Yeah,
Have him dial in, like.
we
that's-
should. Yeah.
Just
I'll-
try by phone.
Yep, good call.
there's a little turf action conversation happening on my Sobo, or not my Sobo, sorry. The Facebook site, the parents' Facebook site tonight,
Our turf or Algonquin turf?
our turf, and a possible
saw that.
volunteer.
Interesting.
Just started, we'll see, but there was someone who said they were interested in helping, so that's good.
I saw that part.
Yeah, I'm like, yes.
Nice.
I can chime in and encourage her too.
Awesome, thank you.
Are you back,
Can you hear
Tim?
me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Somebody say something.
I can hear you.
All right. Hello, everybody.
Right.
Sorry, it's my work computer for some reason. So let me just shoot over. Do that. Okay. All right. Where was I before I shot off?
You're fishing up in the truck, I think, right? Of the van? No?
Yeah, the van. Yep.
Okay, so purchased, set aside. So the next step, I was advised to go to Capital to make them aware. And then from Capital, we were going to go to the selectmen to let them know that this was our plan, which has been in place for quite some time. When I got to Capital, they kind of pivoted and started questioning us on electric options to explore electric options, which I was a little taken aback because no one's ever really put that on the table yet. So they were supposed to give a vote of support to expend the funds. They did not. They gave a vote to support the concept of us using the revolving fund. They supported that, but they wanted us to go back with an argument about electric versus gas, one. And then they wanted us to show how we were going to make back that expense over the course of the use of the van. So I talked to John Parent, just because he's the head of Green Communities for Southborough. And I talked to the guy who quoted us the van from the municipal group who does it to the state. No such van exists. So I guess that's the first question that kind of answers the question. Yes, they are in theory being produced, but no such thing is for sale as it sits today. So they're not even available in state to us. So that takes care of that. In my head, additionally, when we did dive into it, there's other aspects. Obviously, the town has no infrastructure to charge it right now, even though they just passed something for a special town meeting. We're talking down the line, but also the range of electric from what they're promoting when they do come available is on its best charge 109 miles, which for us wouldn't do any good, especially when we're traveling off site, when we go for extended trips, for field trips and things of that nature. We'll be spending our time at charging stations along the way. So I feel like that piece of it is pretty taken care of. I have everything in writing from both the municipal group as well as John Parent, just not really showing his support, but also a vehicle of that size is also exempt from green communities just because of the weight of it. So there's no buying a van of a 15 passenger van does not have to, this certain model does not have to abide by anything just because of its weight. So it is exempt from that. So we get around that as well. So that part's easy. It is just the argument and the other question of quantifying, making back the expenditure. So 49, call it $50,000 over the course of its van, and how we're over the course of the use of the van, and how we can show that upfront to them when we go to them, because they want to talk about this on the 24th, so they can kind of sign off on it. So just how we're gonna calculate that and how we want to approach it to show that we're gonna, if that's our intent, is to show that we're going to make back the money on the life of the van. And Don, I know you had some thoughts on that.
Right, so a van has a 10-year useful life, maybe more, maybe less. At $50,000, that's $5,000 a year. You just gotta prove that we use the van enough times that owning it beats renting it, really, at the end of the day. Because we're all gonna stand by the fact that the programs that support the van supports those programs that we want to offer that are important to the community. Otherwise, all we would offer are programs that are located in the schools or require parents to, travel their kids all over the place.
That was one of the arguments I made. I wouldn't say arguments, but one of the points I made was the cost of that we're seeing of renting a school bus per se, not even a coach bus, is just astronomical right now.
If you can get one, and if it'll show up, I mean, we all get the alerts, one bus, at least one bus a week. I mean, I only get the ones for Algonquin. At least one bus a week doesn't show up.
I've
Right?
gotten 3 this week that they aren't coming. So yeah.
So like, I think we just, if we want, we can get the price to rent a bus. I mean, I'm not sure, I'm not really, I think the questions, I have thoughts on what I think of these questions, and thoughts as to sort of how they can interject into this process with the revolving funds. But needless to say, the math isn't that hard. How much does it cost to rent a bus? And the owning the van will beat the bus, way less than 10 years.
Yeah. Because I mean, I can tell you off peak, which is the summer for us, it was just to go to, where do we go? Shrewsbury, $500 for the day. So if we take cross country as an example, 6 meets right off the bat for one program, and there's $3,000 that we'd have to dish out, which is a cost that we're putting back on to the participants, which would obviously just inflate the cost of the program dramatically. So
that's why I think if we say that we have, I think I was using some rough math in my note, Tim, but like, I don't know, 200 trips or 100 trips, whatever the number is a year, and you say each trip is a rental of $500 or whatever, $500, right? So that means 10 trips is 5,000 and 100 trips is $50,000. Like, you got the payback on the van in less than 2 years, because you had to factor in gas. But like, it's pretty, like, if we use it to that extent, and even if you use it only 50 times, you'll pay it back within 3 years. Is it, so I guess the question was, the context of the question just, should we be running these programs? I mean, like, because they couldn't have been suggesting that we should rent the vans.
that was a suggestion for us to rent. Well, there was a suggestion to lease to own, and then there's a suggestion to go back and look at renting, the cost of renting.
Lease to own is just financing. That's
Well, Brian interjected on that one, said no.
Okay, good.
And
we have
then
cash on hand,
Because
right?
we end up paying more, right? Like, if you
This
lease-
is again, do they understand that's coming from the revolving fund and not coming from taxpayer or town dollars?
well, that's what Brian said. He said cash in hand. If you have the cash, and pay at one time, and there's no.
Hey, save.
And the suggestion of like renting aside, because that financially doesn't make any sense. The suggestion is we should be considering whether or not we're doing these programs. Again, we're not necessarily here to make a profit. We're here to introduce programs and offer recreational activities, maybe beyond what some kids could do typically, given their parents' situation or whatever. So if their argument is like, well, you sure this is going to be profitable or even break even, I would push back on that's not our intent here. Our intent is to offer recreational programs to our town and our community, and especially to those students or other people who may not otherwise have the opportunity to get to these places where you're driving them.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, right off the bat, when they hit me that question, I said, I think we could offset if they're just talking about, income of the kids who are, if they want to look at the income of what we're making with the programs that are utilizing the van. the amount of programs we'd have to run with 15 kids to make back $50,000 would be incredible. So, you know, if they're talking with that, it's like, yeah, we'll offset it, because I think they were looking at this like we look at 9/11, where the money that we're bringing in is, you know, X, so that when we have to trade in the van, or when the first one goes and we have to replace that one, now we have the cash generated from this use to cover that. So I think that's how they're looking at it. I don't personally, my personal take is along Kristen's lines of, I don't really think that's a fair assessment, just because
the math works either way. I mean, the payback is well short of the lifespan of the van.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think to your point, Don, I think looking at it that way, the rental versus the buying, I mean, it's a no-brainer
Mhm.
over the life of the vehicle. So, but, so that's what they want to know for that next meeting. So I guess I can put together a kind of a cost versus breakdown. I don't know if there's anything
And
else.
I almost like, I mean, to Kristen's point, it's funny because I feel like this is counterintuitive to all the questions we get about revolving, where they don't want us making money, right?
Mhm.
And like, and we're not, I mean, we're not making money. There's also, I mean, part of the reason why we can do this is because there's been money sitting there that has not been reinvested in the town. So
Right.
this reinvestment in the town will give us 10 years of field trips. You
Yeah.
know, that like we wouldn't be able to do otherwise. And I mean, quite honestly, what else are we going to spend the money on that's actually going to give back over a 10-year period like this?
Right. And the impact would be immediate. I mean, we're at the point, cross country,
Yep.
for example, we can only bus half the kids. If they don't respond quick enough to the emails, half the parents have to leave work and drive their kids, you know, to the meets and stuff. So
Yeah.
the impact would be quickly felt in the positive.
Okay.
Besides those, is there any other points you want me to put together for the meeting? I mean, I would assume we're all going to talk it out, but
Yeah, and could you just, I mean, just for my own, I'll ask the question anyway. What role do they play over the disbursement of funds from the revolving account?
because it's beyond their vote, what, $10,000, because we're expending it, they have to approve it. They have to vet it and approve it
And
per
So-
the capital policy.
is that a bylaw? Can I find that on the web somewhere that it covers the revolving accounts? I don't want to be that person, but now they got me interested.
So this was a gray line that quite frankly, we asked for clarification, and I personally felt like we were a little bit brushed aside. So we've been playing nice and like, whatever, if they want to know what we're doing, we'll share what they're doing. But I actually believe this is a gray area where I don't believe they can actually put this law on top of the recreation revolving fund like this.
So
Like-
I'm fine with cooperating, answering questions,
Right.
no harm, no
Agree.
foul. But like,
We need the van.
yeah, I don't like, the electric question, fine. I could have told you there's no electric vans, like, that doesn't, that's just not out there. The amount of batteries you probably require, what the thing would look like right now, it's on the horizon, but it's not something that the town of Southborough would ever get its hands on. So fine, ask, no problem. Let's answer those questions. Like, obviously they can see the specs, they can see we're not buying, souped up van or anything like that. But like the thought that they could say, no, you can't do it. Let's cooperate, but I would challenge it if they say no.
They've never said no to us, so we haven't had to force this question, which is why I say that, but I do believe legally they can't tell us no. So
Is this not the first time that this has happened with a purchase?
this
It didn't
is-
exist previously.
Yeah,
Okay.
it didn't exist. So this will be the biggest, this is the first purchase that will trigger this with them.
And they said they made this policy almost in response to what we did with the playground behind the townhouse.
Yes, exactly.
That's what triggered this.
They didn't like that playground.
I think it's great. So
I think it's awesome.
Are they
But why-
anti-kids? Are they?
What was the, we were just replacing, what was there and making it safe?
There, like, so at the time, I think there was think the sentiment was they were upset that we had money that we spent that we didn't like consult with anyone else on.
But that's our charter.
100% agree, right? But then this whole thing came about.
Committees, overseeing committees, overseeing committees.
Okay.
But I mean, like in theory, we have a van on reserve, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you have a slot in the order, and to be candid, anyway, like a lot of these things, like even if let's say something were to happen, like someone will step into that slot. Like,
Oh, he told me that. He's like, if for some reason if something happens and you back up, he's like, trust me. He's like, as soon as we get it on the lot, it's gonna leave the lot.
yeah.
So
So
then
there's we've got no risk at all, you know, in the near term. So
Oh yeah. Yep. I was more making sure we're in the queue. We're not wasting, we're not losing time because of this. Yeah, okay.
No, the order was sent to Ford. It's in process.
So I mean, like I've been that conversation done. I think we will eventually hit, but we've been kind of ignoring it until we have to have it.
that's fine. So they want to, yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm a little.
I remember we talked about that with Rachel because she was
Yes.
hiding the fact she was a lawyer from us.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, way to peruse some regulations.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
maybe it's time if
Yep.
this becomes an issue. Because on top of that, we gotta, again, go to advisory, go selectmen and have the same conversation. So hopefully it won't be as in depth, but we could be hitting the same roadblocks there.
Yeah, I guess I don't understand why we're going to all of them either, but Yeah.
I think we're back
I
to
think-
having to visit the good old,
Well,
Yeah.
to be fair, it was advised, I think, because of what happened last time with the van. And because of it's part of the fleet and everything like that.
Mm,
I know, but I mean, like, it's like when are we gonna shake that old baggage? Like, come on now.
but even the old
We-
van, I would cause, I mean, not to dig up old history, but don't you recall being in meetings being like, okay, what's gonna go wrong? What do we like, what do we have to?
I know. But then I mean, like, but then I think stuff came to light after the fact. That like you, Kristen, you and I even were aware that it was happening. Or stuff went sideways. But again, like we've been at this for how many years now, Tim, proving ourselves. I wish like people would give us the benefit of the doubt versus dragging us down on everything. It's just getting old. Yep. All right. Well, we'll see how that goes then. I can join. It's Monday night, right? Yeah.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask. Do I need to post
Yep.
for a meeting?
Do we
Should
have
I-
any influence over the time? I'm being extremely selfish because they picked the only Monday night football game of the year.
I'm sure we can.
I
That's
would
why I'm a
do-
Jets fan. So we don't.
Oh, well, that's too bad. Sorry to hear that.
We're ahead of you guys right now, so that's okay.
Yeah, enjoy it.
Have they posted an agenda yet or?
Look quick.
They have. Let's see, what do they have on their agenda? It starts at 7:30. Could we ask to go at 7:30?
I could always ask.
Because right now, we're in the middle of the agenda. Like, could we just go first to
Mhm.
this off?
I
Yeah.
think they'd always want people having to come from the outside to go first.
Well, John Parents before us. Let me ask him if we can
Okay.
jump him.
Yep,
We'll do-
they've also got like the chair and members reports and all of that. Like, can we just,
Yeah, they did that the other night. That took like 2 minutes, so I don't really think
okay,
it's
all right,
so much, but yeah, I'll work on it. I'll let you know.
cool.
Okay. All right. Next, so part-time salaries. So every season, we need to approve the part-time salary of our individuals who help with RAP. So we just need to do that. I will bring it up. Can we see that?
Yes.
Yep.
So these are our RAP employees, our monitors, as well as some of our instructors. So this is their rates for this fall. There was one increase with Wendy Hills to $1,550. Outside of that, they all stayed the same from last year. They will go up come the turn of the calendar year, just because minimum wage is going up once again. But because of that increase with Wendy, we just need to vote on these again so that payroll can process accordingly. All of these rates are below that midpoint where we need additional approvals from the personnel board. So you guys have the authority to just say yes if you agree, and then we can take care of this. So I'd be looking for a vote if everyone's in agreement.
I'm okay.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to approve these fall 2022 rates for part-time and after-school program.
Second.
Okay, so roll call vote. Hanson, yes.
O'Day, yes.
LeVault, yes.
Dumont, yes.
All right.
That's easy. Thank you. Great. All right, Southborough Community Fund grant. We were awarded the grant. This is for concerts to support the summer concerts. It was not a full award. We're yet to see the amount. I did just get a note letting us know. They had a couple of follow-up questions regarding it, but they did say they'd be partially funding it. So we're just waiting for that amount, but we are going to get some from them, which is wonderful. As always, we did not get it last summer, so it's good that we're back with them. So we're just a wait to see what's going on, what the amount would be there. And then we did put in for the Cultural Arts Council grant as well for the concerts in hopes that we can piece the two together if favorable, and we can take care of the concerts this year. We are going to expand the concert series. So instead of doing 4, we're going to go to 6. And what we decided to do this summer is cut out the movies. This past summer was dismal when it came to the movies. 4 or 5 families, and by the time the movie ended, maybe 1 was left. So not the participation we were really hoping for this summer. But the concerts this year were huge, almost every single week. So we're gonna lean into that a little more. We'll fill the gaps for the summer for doing 6 concerts and expanding that. So that's what those grants were. So we definitely got some from the community fund, and then cultural arts was due this past Monday. We got it in the week prior, and we will wait to hear. I believe it's end of the year, turn of the year. We should hear on that one.
Do you think with the movies, it just needs to be like a one-time special event, like having it?
That's
so
what we were
frequently?
thinking. Yeah, that's what we were thinking, especially towards the end of the summer with a couple weeks of that gap. We were thinking we could do kind of one big hurrah, one big final, summer thing. So that was actually Joe's exact idea. So I think we'll run with that this year and see what happens.
Had we ever got, like, do we know why people? I know why I don't show up, but I didn't know if we had any other feedback whether people don't, or I've only gone like once or twice.
Why don't you show up, Jen?
My kids go to bed early. I mean, like, my kids are in bed by like 8:15, 8:30, and I like that time to myself. So taking them out to a movie that doesn't start till like 8 o'clock, I just don't have it in me during the work week. Right?
Yeah, same. It was absolutely too late. I need,
Okay.
they're definitely asleep.
I think it's hard in the summer because it takes so long. It's like 8:30 by the time
I know it needs to get dark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know, the first year we did them, it was really received well. So I think we were excited on that, but I totally get it. My kids didn't go to any because the same. So.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. But I agree. Like, if it were like 1, then it's like, okay, like the kids want to go, right? But I'll take them to 1, but I'm not going to go multiple times. So cool. All right. Awesome. And cultural arts, actually, I believe they're going to be voting in mid-November.
Sorry, can I add one more thing on the movies? Just a weird consideration. I mean, maybe it's better targeted at like kind of the neary trottier type kids who don't get as much fun out of the little kid events, but would, if you had something, I'm not sure if Neary is actually the most central for kids on bikes. I know when you did movies, or baseball does movies down here at Finn, I say that because I'm like near there. You had a lot of like little packs of kids going off and riding their bikes there and seeing it. So just, I mean, I'm it's obviously a year in advance, but maybe the movie night becomes something geared not so much towards the littler kids who have lots of events throughout the year for them, but more the neary troutier kids who, you know, a lot of them do stay up later.
Yeah. So you're saying location wise?
I'd say
just type of
location wise
movie?
potentially and time wise. I mean, the time works, right? Like, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
the time works as it is for that age group, but just a thought. And yeah, it's just, I know there's a lot of kids near Neary. But on the Finn side, I know a lot of kids do biking around here, like you have little bike packs of
Yeah.
kids going everywhere all the time. So just
The
throwing
thing-
ideas. It's a year from now.
No, it's a good thought that we thought about moving the location, thinking, because that's at one point we're like, is it too buggy? Because it's super buggy over at Neary too, because of
Yeah.
the swamp. But the use of the fields are taken outside of Neary. So,
Yeah.
you know, baseball's doing baseball, soccer's doing soccer. Not obviously not as much. But that was just, I remember we ran into that when we were thinking about it, when we wanted to move it. We couldn't because other user groups around the field. So, but so I'm assuming the baseball one is received well.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Food for thought.
Food for thought.
All right, so you have the 9/11 revolving fund transfer policy. So this is
Yeah.
all up from last time.
Yeah. So I typed something up. I emailed it to you all. I don't know if you had a chance to see. Let's see. Bond policy. You see that?
Yes.
So this is what I came up with shortly after our last meeting. And then I attached the schedule today, which was in your emails. I don't have it up on my screen just because I don't have my work computer. But this is what I came up with. So I'll take any critiques, any adjustments you think. Thought it represented what we chatted about, but not sure if you guys want to change the way it's worded.
Instead of his, her, should we say there?
Yeah, that's fine.
Did the schedule have a date, Tim? I'm just gonna bring it back up, like. For a target, like, I know there was the actual schedule of amounts, but
Like when they would transfer it out.
yeah,
They just have the fiscal years on it.
so do we want to say at any point during the fiscal year or? I guess it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't matter to us, I mean. Do they want to have a, like,
Like a
doesn't
set.
matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have thought that there would have been like a desire to have a date, you know, like in the first quarter or the first half or whatever. If that's not an issue for them, then it's that's the
I
only,
mean, it's never come to us at the same time every year.
right?
So
Yeah.
so something tells me there's not a specific thing they're looking at. But
Okay, so notification of the yearly transfer will be in writing. Okay, yeah, then that's fine. I don't think that's a big deal.
and I chatted with Brian about this and he was in full agreement.
Okay,
He had no issue. He was just happy there was finally something in place.
Yeah.
I don't have any further comments or questions.
I don't either.
That works.
We do a vote
Yeah.
just so I can put it in.
So I can make a motion to approve the 9/11 Memorial Field Revolving Account Bond Transfer Policy as presented.
Second.
All right, Roll call vote. Hanson, yes.
Today, yes.
About yes.
Dumont, yes.
All right. All right, so then Lundblad is up next.
All right, so I went back to Activitas and I explained, so I guess this is just the follow-up from Activitas, as well as just, I'm hoping a clear picture of what we want to do here. I was just going back in my notes and trying to figure out exactly what we were asking for with CPA and everything like that. But anyway, so I went back to Activitas and I explained this is what we're going to do about phasing. So they were able to tweak everything. They sent us this, which is the updated plan just showing the dog parks. So if we were going for this phase of it, just representing that piece of the construction, as well as the quote just for that as well. So everything is broken out. This is more for the grant cycle so that we have something definitive, something standalone, not kind of muddled up with everything else that we're going on. So with the Stanton Foundation is the grant cycle that I've been talking about going through, that they've been funding parks around our area. They did the Framingham Park. They just funded one in Brewster. So it's kind of the go-to lately when it comes to dog parks. Let me move this real quick. Sorry. Do you still see the?
Yep.
Okay. So what I want to figure out tonight is, if we can, is exactly what we're going to be asking from CPA amount wise. So the way that the Stanton Foundation grant is going to work is that we apply for it. And what the first piece of it is the planning phase of it. They fund first. And if you get it, they fund it 100%. And that is getting from what we have here, just that sketch, the idea, the concept, the proof that it's going to fit. They take the conceptual design and they fund it getting to documents. So getting the bid documents, construction documents, spec documents, everything like that. So that's the planning piece of it. So that would be the first piece of the grant. And then the second piece obviously is the construction piece of it. So what they do is they will fund 90% of the hard costs of the park, of the build. Hard costs being this number right here. So the 389. Soft costs are the general conditions, the contingencies, all that stuff wouldn't be part of what could be included. Is the hard cost of the construction that they go 90%. Now diving further into it, they go 90%, but they cap it. They cap it at $225,000. So this is where all the math comes in. So if we were to get it successfully, we would get our documents taken care of in the front, the planning piece of it, and then we would get up to $225,000 of the hard costs. And doing the math, what's left is 164,000 hard costs, and then the quote unquote soft costs of 183 with everything else that we see there. So I'm throwing a lot of numbers, but I guess my question is, are we asking CPA for the full amount in case we don't get the grant? Are we asking CPA for that remainder amount? That proving that we have the funding for that 10% to support the rest of the project if they fund the 225. If that made sense, what I just said.
My gut reaction, I'm just gonna go right out again as if I were, a citizen hearing this for the first time. Is we should show a good faith effort of going after the Stanton grant.
Mhm.
And assuming we're gonna get it, and just asking for the remainder and understanding it might push the project off longer. If we ask for the larger amount subsequently, we can at least say, look, we tried, we did try to secure other funding. wasn't achieved for whatever reason, maybe we can adapt our plan accordingly. For whatever reason, we were turned down. So now we come to you, CPC, looking for the full amount. It's just,
Is there, is there a rule that says you can't go back twice?
I was just gonna say, you actually can't go back twice. So I think
why is
we're,
that?
because they technically already funded a project and now you're looking for more. So it's just, they won't.
No, okay, so let me rephrase what I said. We'd be looking for the CPC funding of, whatever that 164 plus 183 is. While trying to secure the Stanton Foundation. If we didn't get it, then we'd go back to the drawing board.
So I think I would almost say go all into CPC, be like, look, this is the all-in cost to do this. We're looking for CPC to fund it. In the meantime, we are applying for a grant, and if it comes through, like that, because that grant would be first of the year, right, Tim?
Correct. Yeah.
So if that grant comes through first of the year, CPC will have time to reduce the request of this asked when it goes to town floor.
Does CPC have enough for the total amount right now?
I don't, actually, I don't know. And I don't know if CPC knows that, to be quite honest. That might be discussed at the next meeting, because I've been asking what we actually have to be able to fund. But like, it's, so this is, I mean, quite frankly, when the stuff comes through CPC, we never have enough to fund it all. Some of it has to be bonded out, but depending on timing, it might be able to roll over to the next year. So they might actually be able to have cash in hand for this, but,
Right. Okay.
but I think it's better for our application to be like, look, we're looking for CPC to fund this project. And while we're working through this with you, we are actually applying for a grant. We should know early in the year whether or not we get it. And if we get it,
Here's how much,
the
here's how much
total-
that grant could be.
right, the total could come down if this grant comes through.
Well, I trust your experience with the CPC, of course, so I definitely defer to you.
We would just need, I mean, I would assume we would know by the turn of the year if they're in favor of it or not. Right? Because that's what we'll need to show. We'll need to show a vote was taken in the affirmative that CPA is dedicated to funding it.
What do you need that, is that part of the grant?
So
request?
I guess, do you need that CPA is in favor of the project, or that they are going to fund it?
That the money is there to fund that 10%.
Okay, so, CPC can't technically give you that. That's town floor.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking out loud. That's why I said it out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so maybe this is
I'm
another,
also wondering timeline wise though, it's like, so we'd probably have to put out, I don't know if we'd have to go out to bid for the services unless like Tivitas could do it. Because it'll probably be like 25 grand. If that takes care of this cycle, this fiscal year. And the next thing you know, come the actual build, it would likely be by the time we get everything done, next fiscal year almost.
It's all definitely next fiscal year, right? I mean, it's even the next town meetings for next fiscal year. So this isn't a January to June thing. This is a July,
right.
July thing. So, but I'm just curious, the grant itself, like it's sort of almost cart before the horse, cart before the cart, so, you want to go for the grant, but you can't go for the grant unless you have already a commitment, but part of the commitment could be tied to whether or not you get a grant, Is that how, do you know others who have partaken of the grant, and is this sort of the same dilemma they faced?
I mean, Northborough's in the process of it. Let me get out of this, see if I can bring it up in front of me. Northborough's in the process of it. Brewster received it, so I know him out there. I can reach out to him, I guess. And then Framingham went through them as well.
Mhm.
So I'd be happy to reach out to them as well.
I wonder if this might also be to add on to your conversation, Kristen, with Kathy. Like, is this something that to be able to apply for the grant, that like select board would say, if, I mean, like, I guess, can we apply for the grant and be like, hey, select board said we could use ARPA funds for the 10%. And if we, just to be able to
Yeah.
apply for the grant, but then actually
Exactly.
CPC comes in and decides to pay the 10%, and would the grant care where the cash came from? As long as it's being funded?
As long as it's there. Yeah,
Like, yeah.
I'll
Uh,
add that. And Jen, I
just
plan
wondering
on,
because like we in theory could
Oh.
get a vote of support from the select board in time to apply this year, but
Right.
we will not be able to get that because CPC can't actually issue that.
Right.
Because they can't actually encumber the funds.
that makes sense. I guess. And throwing this out there, I'm just thinking in my head, I already know the answer to this. And I'm just thinking about sources of funding for the 10%. There's no rationale that the revolving fund could be back up to that 10%. No.
No.
I knew the answer to that, but I had to throw it out there to make sure I wasn't forgetting anything.
Required
Sorry,
community
someone-
contributions include 10% match and hard construction costs. The contribution must be in cash, not in kind services. The source of the cash may be the town budget or contributions.
Okay. We could start wrap dog training.
There should be a bunch of COVID puppies that need it, right?
Exactly.
You know, in abundance.
Yeah, seriously.
Don.
That one.
So, I mean, like the alternative spin, it would be to bring this fully loaded to CPC, ask them to take it to town floor, to have them fully support it. And with that support, the following year, January, like we would apply for this grant. If we get it, then we're cleared to move forward immediately.
You get to present that one at town meeting and get everyone to understand that.
It's CPC, they present it, we don't.
Well, I mean, the grant could be, I don't know how the grant's written, but the grant could be a reimbursement to the CPC.
So basically what would happen is like, we just wouldn't, so you can't
We-
reimburse CPC, but CPC would never spend that money. And then once the dog part's done, we close it out, all those funds get released back into CPC to spend. So
Yes.
they're encumbered for like, I don't know, 6 to 9 months.
Yeah, right.
And
And
then
then
we
you
can
do the
release-
project and then the money comes through the following period to release what they had. Yeah, I mean, now I'd be curious, again, I'd be curious to see how these other towns actually maneuvered this, because that will tell you how, you know.
I'm thinking about it now. You wonder if we go for the planning piece of it, hopefully get the planning piece of it, and then we're good until fiscal year flips. And then we get on, you know, right off the bat, what, August, when they're due, CPAs due. And we go for the construction piece of it then. Again, I'll talk to Framingham, I'll talk to our counterparts, but I'm just thinking instead of maybe jamming it down their throat now, maybe we just keep this still in-house and go for that planning grant. I don't know. And then go from there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd like to have it done next year, but I don't know if that's going to shoot us in the foot.
Right.
That's fair.
We've gotten shot in the foot before going prematurely. So,
I mean, I still think it's worth a Kathy conversation being
oh,
like,
yeah.
sure.
hey, if ARPA can chip in 10%, we can
Right.
possibly get the other 90% funded through grants. And now you've checked off a big thing off your capital master plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's just make sure we use the right math though, because as Tim mentioned, that it's not really 90%. It's really capped at. What did you say?
225.
225.
Yeah.
225.
Okay. All right.
I got all it. Yeah, I took good notes.
Person, I can email you everything if you
All
want.
right, thank you. Sure. I was taking notes as we go, but that does not hurt. And I'll let you and Jen both know once we settle on a time.
The other piece of it too, we just have to keep sight of is that if we don't do anything there, that area of the field needs some sort of maintenance.
Yeah.
Because of the situation with the ladder and whatnot. So that's the, you know, that's the other piece of the whole equation here, is that we're sort of picking a different direction than just simply trying to restore that area.
Well, or, I mean, Would we, or would we just, could we shut it down for the time being?
What do you mean?
Well, Don, you're saying if we don't proceed forward, we have to do some sort of repairs on Lundblad?
Yeah, that area is really not usable in terms of the purpose of the field, right? You've got the dips and the near exposure and the whole runoff and the blah, 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 right? So if we're looking at sort of, we've made our way through all of our fields to sort of get them back to appropriate conditions and in the right rotations and whatnot. Lundblad is one of the ones that was in the on the list to be addressed. And this is, this is us following through from the work that was done to review it. And if you want to make it a field again, it's $250,000 plus or minus, I can't remember the exact number. And sort of we're making the proposal here that money, instead of restoring it to a field for that amount of money, that instead let's go down this direction and you can actually get an alternative use for, an additional outlay that meets and checks boxes of other items that have been desired by the community.
That's a good point. We had it in the capital plan, to your point.
It is.
So I guess I'll reach out. So no matter what, we go for planning. I think that's unanimous, right?
Yeah.
To go for that piece of it. And
Yeah, you don't require any of these commitments to go for the planning grant.
They fund that 100%.
Okay.
And then I will also reach out to the surroundings.
Yeah, if you could just figure out how they navigated it, maybe because everyone works around the same calendar, so maybe there's, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, you may find out that they found some generous benefactor that sponsored the dog park, but whatever.
Yeah. Actually, Tim, when you say planning, it makes me think of something. Just learning from our calendar meetings past, and again, getting a little ahead of the game, but it's October, so maybe not that much. What other committees or councils or whatever do we have to get in front of to say, yeah, we think this project's doable? So there's no surprises when we're presenting it, or CPCs perhaps presenting it at town meeting floor, and someone tries to tell us, no, it's not a good idea because.
Yeah, definitely conservation. I think just because of the landfill status as well as their surrounding area, and the amount of area that'll be disturbed. DPW will have to sign off on it with the engineer just because of the landfill as well. Pair is still does the inspections on that. So I know I talked to Karen about it. She said that we just got to keep her in the loop so that they can go over the plans and make sure it's appropriate, which I have no fear of just because of what Activitas did. I mean, they took those plans from PAR and they did it. They reviewed them, and everything that we've been quoted is because of that report.
Yeah.
Beyond, I don't think we have to go to planning. I mean, famous last words, but that would be the only board I would have to see.
We haven't had to go to planning for any other work on our.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So I'm sure
it's still recreational. It's not a change of use.
Right. Yeah.
And we already gave ADA the heads up, right?
Well, that was the whole point of this in the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so planning, yes, and then I'll follow up with others. Cool.
Okay.
And then, we're really pushing that CPA application then, though, right, Jen? Or are we all kind of in the agreement that we probably won't make it this cycle?
What do you mean?
Well, it's October. Our next meeting will be November.
I mean,
town meetings
oh,
So
Yeah.
granted, you may not even have any money, so who knows?
I mean, true. I mean, like also, quite frankly, applications came in like January last year and they still got approved and funded on town floor. So,
Yeah.
and in our last CPC meeting, I thought I heard that there was like another 1 or 2 they expected to come in. So,
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, I guess that's a good question, Jen, as we hand the torch here.
Yep.
Thursday, what? You and I can obviously talk offline. We don't need to go through this detail, but what I want to ask in front of the commission is, are they even aware that this is a consideration? Should I be raising it as a potential consideration?
No, I don't think they're aware unless they're listening to our meetings. And I don't think so, not until like we formally put it in front of them.
Okay.
Because you're kind of wearing a different hat on the CPC. So.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
So the director training.
Yeah. So
Couldn't find anything in Miami,
West Virginia.
West Virginia, like
what's wrong with
really? West
Wheeler, West
Virginia?
Virginia?
Do you want to go? I'm not gonna stop you.
Yeah. So before I got here, I went to an NRPA directors school for directors. I was accepted into it. I went to it, and it was probably one of the most pivotal things I've done, I think, in my career. It's just a tremendous school. And another school they have is revenue development and management. And I was talking to Jen about it one-on-one, kind of, and just with the, I'll be the first to admit, and I think you guys know it's not my strongest suit. I think I can get by, but it's something I've always been working on, and I'll fall on that sword with that. But they did come out with this school. It's been around for a little while now. The reviews I hear are just tremendous. It's in West Virginia. It's not in anywhere crazy, but it's a 2-year program, 1 week a year in March, full day for 5 days, diving into everything financial management, with revenue development of municipalities and just municipal government. So it's something I've had my eye on for quite some time, and the registration window actually opened yesterday. And I was just hoping if you all would be in favor if I could attend that, just given the costs and everything like that. But I'm just looking to see if you would be in favor of allowing me to attend. And that would be March of 23 and March of 24.
Just out of curiosity, why do they separate 5 days of training an entire year apart, or 10 whole days, but with an entire year between the 5 days?
I think the purpose is to kind of put in play what you learned from being at the director school. That's kind of how it was. That's how the second year really was treated. It's you had these tools that we've talked about. Now let's get together in teams and do projects and talk about where we've been, what we did. So my guess, it's a year of implementation, and then we'll come back and build upon what we worked on.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, so I also think with the hyper focus on the revolving fund and capital planning and like just being even fiscally responsible, like I think it completely makes sense. And like I also think like Tim, you've done like a great job so far for us, and like I am happy to continue to invest in you and like the rec department. So I would definitely support of this.
Yeah, no issues here.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll make a motion to.
Wait, just quick question. So I don't have any objections, obviously.
Okay, it's okay. Go for it.
But so this comes out of, I imagine, the revolving fund, right? How does continuing ed get handled in other areas? Just out of curiosity, does anyone know of our town government? Like if our
personnel board does have a budget for it. I don't know if this would apply to it. I think I could ask. Select Office of the Selectmen, Mark and Vanessa have a budget as well. I do know when I went to director school, that was part of my hiring. That was kind of one of the negotiations. I'll just put it out there, that they supported me to go and pay for that second year just because I was already in the program. So I know it was paid out of that. I know it went very, very much over in that line item, but I know that they have a small budget as well for continuing ed with that.
I guess I just note that I know we're trying to do what we can to be fiscally responsible and help in the town's costs, but it should be of note that it seems like other departments have a budget line item for staff advancement, and if we fund it under our continuing education, and if we agree to fund it under recreation, we agree to fund it under recreation. But I think it should be noted that we're doing something that, whereas other people get a general budget town line item under their department. So maybe just when we're talking to capital, if we're agreeing to take on that cost, it's worth noting.
Okay.
Is that going back like 10 bullets? Is that a budget consideration for this year?
No, I guess I saying to the commission, if we're all in agreement that we should, in the spirit of helping the town try to fund this out of recreation revolving fund, and we can do so, that's fine. But I think it should be noted to capital that we're funding something, whereas other departments have separate line items for continuing education. We're absorbing that.
I think it's another one for our back pocket when they come back talking about revolving fund or our budget or trying to move
Yes.
things around, being like, okay, well, like, let's show you all like what else this is funding.
Right,
So,
this is just us listening to the request and doing our best to adhere to it.
yep.
Yeah.
All right, so motion to support.
A second.
All right, roll call vote. Hanson, yes.
O'Day, yes.
Well, yes.
Dumont, yes.
Thank you very, very much. Very, very much.
Enjoy West Virginia.
Hey, cheers. I'll get you a shot glass. So.
All I can think is like there's maybe a lot of outdoor activities and
Yeah, it's like a resort with like 3 18-hole golf courses and horseback riding, and very recreational
Is
resort.
it cold in there in March? Like it's cold in March though, right? In
I
West
would think
Virginia?
so. I would
Near
think so.
Pittsburgh, I think it's.
Yeah,
hence why they're having it there in March.
exactly. It's like why we had our state conferences on the Cape in March. Cheap. cheap.
Exactly.
Yeah, my old firm did retreats there too, like
Yeah.
at Cape Cod, like in the winter.
Yeah.
All right.
I
So
think I'm
then-
done. I'm done.
Yeah, I know. So last thing on our list was this lovely ad hoc community center.
This needs a decision tonight. I was told.
Really?
Yes. So we're the
Teasing
only.
it. What
We
happens if
didn't
we
get a
say no?
Yeah, can we say no? Like, what's
Like what
the?
happens if we say no? We're all
They're gonna
fired.
force us, like, yeah, do we, they can revoke our volunteer effort?
We put out a teaser and got nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing, no, Kristen, nothing.
Nothing. Like not even like the only 3 likes were me, Rachel, and Jen.
And me.
And
I mean,
Lisa.
And Lisa
And
liked
Lisa and
it.
Rachel, yeah.
Is it something that
Okay, so
hypothetically, is it something like Jen, you could say yes, and then in 3 months you could resign?
I was literally
Tom
just
could
gonna say,
say yes,
I know
and then
we
3
were
months
told we
later he
could
can
not share
resign.
this.
Yeah.
I know they said no, but like there's no reason why we can't. Like we can step down and like rotate through. So I think if folks are willing to like take on like a several months, this is probably going to be a 2-year project, huh?
Oh,
I have no idea.
if
I-
that, like it'll be more.
Probably more. Yeah. It'll probably get to a point where they won't meet, is my guess. Once applications are in and stuff.
Okay.
But who the hell knows?
This group would do twice monthly meetings for years.
Is
I don't know.
actually,
That's
don't
the
know.
idea.
I don't actually, have they ever actually met yet or no?
No, because they don't have a full committee.
Oh.
Are we the only holdout?
Yes, I think so.
We we were like, at one point, we were not the only holdout. Look down
Yeah.
on the paper. So I'd be okay with doing like a 6-month rotation if other folks are willing to sub in. Like I can take the first pass, but then people have to sub in. And honestly, if this gets out of control, I will, with meetings with this group, I will not be a happy camper, and I'll let them know that. I just feel like it's just like, it's insane the amount of ad hoc committees they keep spinning up and expecting like the same 12 people to be on everything. Like,
Yeah.
I do have a family and a life and a job and
I
hobbies.
think it's also, I'm by default apparently on it as well. So I'm
I
just
did hear you were too. Yeah.
Yeah, and no one's told me yet, but I know I am. So worst case, if none of you can make it, I would be there. You know what I mean? So
Right. Way to cover. Okay.
could be pieced together.
I just want to see what CPC involves before I can raise my hand.
Yeah,
Well,
I feel like being CPC is still meeting, like, well, especially now it's meeting, well, once a month or whatever, but
It's gonna pick up, so.
yeah, CPC I feel like picks up now until like February. Well,
Mhm.
they only have meetings once a month, though I don't want to scare you off because you haven't gone yet, but then it gets quiet as soon as you
Yeah.
get done meeting and through September. So
Yeah, no.
Okay. All right, I will do the first 6 months and then I will resign and somebody else can do it.
And we still might find somebody, right? Like
Yeah.
In 6 months, we might find someone.
We can
And
hope.
I mean, like I can jump in. It's just, that's just a lot. With, I have like a husband who travels and stuff. Like, I don't know if they do, in 6 months, they might not be Zoom meetings. It's just,
Yep.
we probably should, I'm trying to think what we have available to us. Unfortunately, like I wish we could know who was passionate about the community center as part of the town planning. Like obviously we did surveys, but those are anonymous, but there must be people in town that are more vocal about the concept of the community center than others are. And that's an opportunity. If we could figure out who they are, to approach them and say, hey, is this something you want to be part of? Come be part of Recreation Commission, fairly light lift, but that would enable you to be part of this commission that, you have a passion about. I mean, there must be people who are passionate about this in the community above and beyond, this group or community or the senior community center, like, because it did get a fair number of people raising their hand for it. So maybe we can all just do a little,
Yeah, I think everyone wants it. Nobody wants to do the work,
yeah.
to be the cynic. Like we keep running into that. So, because they also were sourcing public seats for this too. And it took them 5 months to fill them. Like we've been dragging this since June, I think it was.
It's supposed to be, they're supposed to make a presentation in December and it's supposed, I'm reading the charge, and it's supposed to wrap up in June.
Yeah, and they haven't even seen it yet. So yeah. Okay. All right, I will check it out. And yes, it has to be Zoom meetings and it can't be crazy. And I will set that precedent for whoever follows in my
Okay.
footsteps.
I will
So.
take a turn. I will take a turn.
Awesome. All right, so then we need a motion to appoint me to this committee.
I make a motion to appoint Jen to the Southborough Community Center Committee or whatever the appropriate name
Exploratory
is.
Committee ad hoc.
Ad hoc
Thank you.
community center. Yeah.
Second,
Okay. Roll call vote. Hanson, yes.
O'Day, yes.
About yes.
So can I vote no and defend you or?
Actually, should I vote no? Oh,
Oh, yes. I can't believe they threw you down the river.
Seriously.
John, you should step up and take chair to help her out.
Oh, yeah.
Just calling your name. It's okay. I also got sucked back into the Arts Council.
That's
Didn't
an
you just
easy lift,
resign?
though. I feel like that's a light lift.
By making it a very light
Yeah.
lift and having one meeting a year. We are voting and that's it. yeah, I got called back because if somebody didn't run it, we were gonna lose our 6,300 in funding from the state. So I'm like, okay, fine. One meeting a year and we get our funding. So, yes. Okay, so then, oh, we have meeting minutes to approve from August 9th and September 20th. Both in your inboxes from before. So let me know if you have any questions or just a motion to approve.
Just
Motion to-
a administrative point, not that it matters. I thought we approved the 9:20 meetings.
We-
Minutes.
Is the
No.
August one?
We talked about the August ones and pulled them because Tim had
Oh,
feedback.
August one,
that
sorry.
He made some updates to the first, to the summer camp discussion.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yep.
When does the RFP window close, Tim?
Monday.
Monday. We still have time, but are we still assuming everything sort of comes together? We still are on track, like everyone is understanding of the time and all that.
Mhm.
Do we still need to circle back with the select board?
Well, they'll have to make an official
Bid.
recommendation.
Okay.
So we'll know Monday who actually
Right.
submits a bid, right?
Yep. For the
Gotcha.
proposal. Yep.
I'm still measuring in my backyard. I'm not sure I can fit everyone, but
I hadn't thought about that. I should go measure. I might have space.
Just sign that non-collusion agreement. You'll be fine. So.
There you go. Might have to step down.
oh,
All right. Sorry, not rushing anyone, but meetings whenever you guys are ready. We're gonna approve this.
I'm good.
Yeah, I read them.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve. Actually, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
I make a motion to approve the August and September Recreation Commission monthly meeting minutes as provided with no amendments.
Second.
All right. Roll call vote. Hanson, yes.
Okay, yes.
Lavelle, yes.
Dumont, yes.
All right. So then the last thing is just Tuesday, November 8th, at 7 o'clock still work for folks for our next one?
Is that election day?
It is. That
It
just
is
popped up on my
election day.
calendar.
Yeah.
So we can't do that. Town
Right.
won't let us. Other nights,
Next day, anyone for the next day?
the 9th?
Wednesdays are tough for me. It's
Oh,
one of
sorry.
the days
Sorry.
I'm in the office.
Do you want to just push it to the next week, 15?
It's fine with me.
Yep.
Fine.
Jen, I'm trying to wonder if that might be the boys' last soccer practice.
The 5th. Oh,
I'm trying to look just because
just had my phone.
I'm
Unless-
looking.
Child. Okay. I feel like that's late for soccer.
I'm just wondering if it might be the day we do like.
Oh, gotcha. They doing a, yeah, so we'd be late.
No, all right. It's our last game's the 12th. We don't have a practice schedule,
Okay.
so that's
So
fine.
we could do the 15th. Okay, we'll push that to 15th. And then we've got the last one in here was December 13th. If that's still, or just like maybe put it on your calendars because I know the holidays, sometimes it gets busy. So
Okay.
December 13th at 7 o'clock will be our last one for this year.
Tentatively, I have a flight that day, but tentatively. I should
Okay.
be home.
I mean,
Last time that happened, though, I did get stuck at the airport for like 10 hours. So,
we could
tentatively, it should
still,
be fine though. It should be. I should be back in time.
We can also see what's going on. I mean, it's.
maybe we
it's
don't
slow.
need it. Yeah.
So we can be realistic with that.
Okay. Okay, we'll leave it there for now, but we could always drop it.
Well,
Put-
and optimistically, we'll hopefully have another member by then.
Sure.
That's right. There you go. All right, sounds good. So motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All righty.